first look at the brand new CNC router 3030 Evo Pro that we just got in. Huge shout out to them for sending one out for us to unbox, review, set up, and use on the channel for you guys. I can't wait to get started with the CNC stuff. Let's dive in and see what we got. Alright guys, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. I got a cool video today, something I've been waiting for a long time. If you've been around, you know this. We've been working on some parts and trying to get them together. We had some stuff 3D printed, trying to get it out of aluminum. It's hard to get a decent price on some of this stuff as far as parts go to make it worth trying to pass it on to the end consumer. So hoping that this router that we picked up from Anolex, the 3030 Evo Pro, hoping that's going to put us over the top, get the parts done that we need to get done so maybe we can bring a little bit of it to market. So super excited about it. Again, huge shout out to them. They sent this thing out. It looks online to be super, stout. Should handle the projects that we have going on in the shop perfectly, and I'm sure we'll figure out a lot more things to even put this thing through. So really excited to get it. We're going to go ahead and jump right in. First thing we're going to do is kind of go over all the parts and pieces, what we have in the box. Now I'm going to be completely honest and upfront with you. This is my first CNC of any kind, so bear with me. We're going to figure this thing out together, and I'll probably, after we get it all set up and I go through the trials and tribulations, if you will, the pain of growing into this thing, I'll probably come back and make another video, maybe something that will hopefully ease the burden of somebody else jumping in the first time. Maybe they'll know a little bit more what to expect, kind of learn from what I had to go through. So that's the idea, that's where we're at. Let's jump in and get it. Okay, so first thing we have here is our user manual. We got the little fob thing that comes with it, as well as a spacer tool. And we're going to start here because, like I said, brand new to me. Okay, so first thing here that I noticed is just the user manual of this thing is exceptional. Looks like everything is pretty much in English. Don't really have to, sort between different languages on it. It's full color, gives you a complete list of what all you should expect to have in the box, as well as optional accessories that you could pick up later. Some of which we'll need for sure. Like I need to get this some router bits because I doubt it they're in here. We'll see as we go, but I'm thinking we're going to need those. I mean, this is like a professional manual here. It's not like just some kind of junk manual you normally see with a lot of stuff. So really happy there. Good job, guys. It says we're going to start with the Y-axis assembly. So we need to get the stepper out for that, the Y-axis base, and a couple pieces of hardware. So we're going to start there. Like I said, it lists out everything that you should expect to see in here, so I'm not gonna go. You kind of see what you get as it's packaged in the box. I mean, really nice high density foam surrounding everything, packaged extremely well. Everything seems to be kind of self-explanatory here. So like I said, I'm not gonna bore you to death with that, but we're gonna jump right in. I'm gonna get the Y-axis bed out and the steppers and get to putting those together. And last but not least, our base. Okay, and all the reviews I saw on this thing said it was, pretty heavy, very solid feeling machine. And I can tell you that right there feels pretty solid. It's got a good amount of weight to it. So the first step, we got to put the 4 socket screws with the 4 white spacers onto our stepper and screw it to the Y-axis. So it's at the opposite end from the knob. It goes back here on this little collet piece. Hopefully you guys can see it. Go right here. It's got 4 holes, and we will zip it on. So we will adjust this out. Right, that'll give us plenty of room there. If it's facing the machine, we want our wires pointed out to this side. Is what it looks like on here, so that's what we're going to do. Alright, it's dark, so it's probably going to be hard to see it. But basically behind here, where the 3 holes are, you have those 3 nuts that I was talking about. You have these 3 little legs off the end of this spacer. Those fit in there. And then this would line up, you know, flush with the back of the machine here. So once you get those lined up about where you need them and you get the thing started, go ahead and just get the nuts, you know, get the screw started in the nuts. You don't want to tighten them up yet. Alright, so now that we got all those started, we'll flip this thing around the other way and we will put it in there. And then we just want to slide this piece back until we have our spacing right. Same thing on the other side, especially make sure it's not in a bind from one side being more than the other. This is pretty important because you want to make sure that this thing is actually in line. Alright, so once we know we're good with this and the spacing and this is in line, both sides are spaced evenly, we're just going to take and tighten the bolts down. Now the same thing on the other side. Alright, so next up we got to install our Z-axis assembly onto the machine. We got 4 holes across the top and then 4 holes down here across the bottom. We just have to align these nuts.
These nuts? Got him! Got him!
With those, and then tighten 8 of the screws down the same as we just did before. Alright, so if you just take and you hold this top line of nuts even with this, we can just start right there. Alright, so you want to get all 4 of the top row in first, and then you can set the whole thing down and just line it up that way. Tighten it down a little bit, it'll hold it in place. Last nut lined up on the top row. And then we need to loosen it and slide the whole assembly straight back down. And we will be lined up here. We got to pick this back up slightly. And now we can just install the last 3. Okay, so this is the first piece of the instructions that weren't entirely clear to me. You have these little slots left above the bolt heads, and down here at the bottom when you align the nuts, it's not completely at the top and it's not completely at the bottom down here. So you have some up and down that you can move that piece, and I elected to move it all the way up as far as I could vertically. I just feel like, for one, it gives me this flat bottom plate down here to align the nuts to, so that it should help to square the piece. And then, so yeah, that's basically the main reason. And also it may give you a little bit more height. I'm not really sure on that yet. We'll see how that goes later, but I think if you were to move that piece down, you would probably be losing a little bit of actual height on that. So anyway, I elected to pull it all the way up. Could be the right move, could be the wrong move, but that's just the way I'm thinking about it. The instructions, again, I couldn't find in there where it really gave, you know, clarity on that one way or the other, so just wanted to mention it. Okay, so the next item on the list is the spindle holder assembly. For that, we're going to need these 4 bolts here, and obviously the spindle holder. The open slot for it goes on the left hand side according to the instructions. There's 2 sets of holes here, so we could elect to either use the top 2 or the bottom 2, whichever suits your needs. You can move it around as you see fit. I guess for now we're going to start in the bottom hole and just see where that gets us. You don't want to tighten these 2 on the left side completely, because we got to put the spindle in next. So for now we'll just tighten the right 2. Alright, for the next part of the install, now that we have our spindle done, we're going to be working on the control box. We have these T-nuts that we slide in, and we have our back plate, and basically it will end up going on there like that. On the instructions, initially in figure 1 for the plate install, it's on a separate page. So the figure 1, they have it in the middle, and that's just so you can get your bolts aligned with your T-nuts. So once you do that, then you just slide it down to the left side and then tighten everything down. I've seen people make that mistake on another video, which was a really good video too. There's another one out there where different machine, but same concept. He missed. He ended up tightening his down in the middle. The wires wouldn't reach. So just something to be careful with on these. It's actually figure 2, so I can show you here on the instructions what I'm talking about. If you see here, figure 1 will have your plate in the middle, but like I said, that's just so you can align your screws, and it says as seen in figure 2, tighten all 4 screws. So, and it says figure 2 down here at the bottom. It's a little bit confusing, but as you can see on the next page, it's slid over all the way to the left hand side, and that's where you'll actually mount the box at. So just something to be aware of. Alright, next thing we're going to need is the actual control board, and then these 4 stands. Okay, so we have our control board here. Now this, we want to make sure that we don't have any kind of like static electricity in our hands or anything. So we got our orientation, and in order to keep from me having to touch it, I'm going to use the little protective bag as a cover, and all we're going to do is line it up and run our stands down just like that for one. Line the second one up. Okay, and then we can actually slide this part off and put our other 2 up there. And now this way you can actually do it without ever having to touch the board itself. You can damage the board with static electricity. You can also ground. I know they sell like ground straps and stuff for building computers. I don't have one here, but something to think about. Just be sure, like I said, you haven't been sliding your feet across the carpet, you don't have any static electricity built up, and you should be in good shape. Alright, so the last part to actually assemble is going to be the clamp. You got 2 different length bolts, short bolt and a long bolt. The short one screws down into that piece. The long one, you put a wing nut and a washer, slide that into it like such, and then it'll just screw down onto the board over here, and then whichever slot works for you at the time. Alright, so the next part, we have to wire everything up. Pretty straightforward. The instructions are incredible. Definitely lays everything out. Without that, it would be a problem, I'm sure, but we are here. Should be easy. Let's go. Alright guys, we got the wiring done. Now we got to jump over to the computer. Got a few steps here we got to follow to get the driver installed and then get this thing up and running. It's going to take me a minute to figure it out, so once I have it figured, I'll bring you guys back. Our program set up in the computer. We've got our power hooked up to it. We're just going to jog using this arrow key over here. I don't know if y'all can see the computer or not. Hopefully you can. But we're going to jog it back and forth a couple times, just making sure that we have what we need. Alright, something has our y-axis not working. I gotta figure out what that is. Okay, so it turns out there's a little screw that goes in the collet back here that locks the shaft on. That part's actually missing, so I'll just have to buy another screw. I had to pull one out of the top up here just to make sure that that was indeed the problem, and it is. So I'll get another screw tomorrow, and then we can resume playing with it. And I found it. It was actually in the box. I had fallen out of the little collet, I guess during transit or something, but anyway, good deal, we found it. Okay, now that we have our screw back in place, we're going to go ahead and actually run this thing a little bit. So that was the home function. Everything seemed to work pretty good with that. Tells us now we're supposed to clamp down a piece of material. Alright, well hopefully you can see it pretty good. The bottom one was our first attempt. Not terrible, but we went a little deep and it didn't, I guess just the pattern of it so small and tight together for the actual bit size that we have in it, it didn't really want to work. But the engraving with the shallow pass right there did really well. So I think we're in good shape here. I got to play around with some more stuff, but all in all, I'm really happy with it so far. We're gonna pick it back up tomorrow, maybe do a couple more of these patterns that they have on here for us to try, and we'll go from there. Okay, so it's the next day. We're getting ready to run another test. We're gonna do this smiley face that they sent us. Let's see how that one turns out. That is so cool. Everything so far seems to be working exactly how we want it to. Now we're going to run the snowman test, see how that one turns out. And that's what we came up with at the end. So not bad for our very first experience. I think it took about 4 hours for me to get it all set up last night and actually get to just engraving a little bit of these. As you can see, I went too deep on that one. This one actually turned out good until I went back and I did the smiley face a little bit too close to it and it ripped it out. But other than that, I mean, it did good there. And we got our snowman. I kept playing with it, kept going deeper and deeper with it, starting to look a little run together at this point. But that's just because I was playing with it. If I would have just left it alone and not went as deep, that would have been really nice too. So all in all, the machine is doing what it's supposed to. That's going to about wrap it up for this one, guys. We got a lot done. Like I said, brand new to CNC. Never done anything with it in my life before, so this was all brand new. From the initial opening the package that y'all sit here and watch me do, it took about 4 hours for me to get it all set up and to actually engrave the first emblem. So all in all, really, I mean, not too bad. The instructions are incredibly clear, straightforward. There's a few minor details that I think I went over that I wasn't quite sure on, but ultimately we ended up figuring it out. Not that big a deal. Huge shout out again to them for jumping on board and helping us out with the machine. I can't thank you guys enough. It's awesome. Really looking forward to diving even deeper, seeing what we can do with it. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, so you can make sure to, you can follow the journey with it. I got to learn the CAM software. I haven't done that yet. I've done CAD, but never converted anything over to CAM and toolpaths and all that. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it won't be too steep of a learning curve. I had to go on and order some single flute end mills so we can cut aluminum with it, and those should be here in about a week, so that'll give us time to learn everything we need to learn that way. Hopefully we'll have it figured out by the time it gets here. Again, just super excited about the direction we're headed with everything. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. If you're interested in merch, we got that, hats, hoodies, t-shirts, you name it, it's up on the website. I'll link to it in the description below. I'll put a link to the machine in the description below in case you guys are wanting to check it out for yourself. Really happy with it so far, can't stress that enough. And customer service wise, instruction wise, you know, it's there, guys. It's just what you're looking for in a company, at least to this point. So again, huge shout out to them. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. God bless.